The ultimate guide to buy-to-let mortgages. You asked for it, guys. I am trying to deliver. So, a lot of people talk about buy-to-let mortgages as if it's a massive complex thing, but let me just break it down. First of all, what is a mortgage? Very quickly, a mortgage is debt when you are buying a house. It's the biggest thing that gives property a competitive edge is the leverage as an investment. And if you're watching this as a first-time investor, there are some key things you need to be looking at, which I'll go through. But ultimately, it's taking on debt to accelerate your journey. Now, if you're scared of debt, there's good debt and bad debt. Bad debt, like getting a credit card or getting your car financed for no legitimate growth reason. That's bad debt. Never, ever, ever, ever do it. Good debt is taking on debt, i.e. using other people's money to accelerate your growth. That is known as good debt, where your debt is allowing you to purchase an asset that facilitates the debt and can pay for additional liabilities. Everyone clear? Good. So the next thing is, what are the differences between a buy-to-let mortgage and a residential mortgage? Well, first of all, it's the deposit. So typically with a residential mortgage, you need to put down typically 10%. There are some government schemes that make it around 5%, but most typically 10% of the residential mortgage. And then on a buy-to-let property, the most typical deposit that you need to put down is 25%. So it is quite prohibitive in that, but you need 25% to get started. The next thing is your lendability. On a residential mortgage, let's assume you're credit worthy, i.e. you don't have any court county judgments, all of that sort of thing. But if you are credit worthy, on a residential mortgage, they are looking at how much you earn. Now, most mortgages, you need to be earning around 25K, but there are plenty at 20. It just gets a lot better at 25K for you. And really, it's can you afford the mortgage? And they do it as a percentage of your earnings depending on the lender. Now, with buy-to-lets, it's slightly different. Now, it is the case for the first maybe one or two that they're looking at how much you earn. However, once you've then been an experienced buy-to-let landlord, which is usually for almost all lenders 1 year of owning a buy-to-let, and for pretty much all lenders 2 years of buying a buy-to-let. So what that means is they still check if you've got a job, but as one of the checks. But in general, it's, are you a good landlord, i.e. are you cash flow positive? Are you making money from your current portfolio? And number two, something called rental coverage. So what that means is they look at the debt that they're lending you, and they look at how much your monthly charge is, and then they look at a coverage on top. Usually it's 130%. To make the numbers easy, if the mortgage costs were £1,000 a month, the rent that they're predicting needs to be 1,300. So 130%, an extra 30% on top to lend you that money. So they're protected. Make sense? Finally, the big difference is you've got capital repayment and interest only. So on your residential mortgage, they make it capital repayment. Now, there's actually a strategy behind this, but capital repayment means you pay interest on it and you're paying a capital down month by month. Now, the reality is at the beginning, you're actually only like paying 5% capital repayment and 95% interest, and over time that goes up. The problem is, the reality is, the reason they do that is the idea is the dream is to own your house outright, which by the way is a fucking stupid dream to have, but not the video for it at all. If you're looking to invest, that is. But the reason they do it is they give you this false sense of security that will happen. But of course, what do? Property goes up in value. First thing you do, you refinance it, you start the whole process again, right? All good. On investments, buy-to-let properties, almost all buy-to-let properties are interest only, which means that at the end of the term, you still owe the debt. And a lot of people worry about that, but it's really not a big deal because of capital growth continues going up and up and up, and it's how the rich play the game. So now we know the differences and what a mortgage is. How do you find the right ones? So when you're looking for a mortgage, I think it's really important to talk to a mortgage broker or have access to something that acts as a mortgage broker. And the reason for this is you don't know what's what. You're not financially qualified, and it actually doesn't present in the best way. So the number one thing you're going to go on is, what's the lowest interest rate? But something I use all the time is something called Lendlord. And I know a lot of you guys have been on Lendlord. I talk about them all the time. Absolutely love them. And by the way, if you haven't got Lendlord, you can get free access right now by the link in my description. I don't get anything by you signing up, by the way, but they are today's video sponsor. But follow along as I'm going on this. So links in description, just pause the video a second, download it completely free using that link. Now let me go into finance. Now this is pretty cool. You go on mortgage, remortgage, and then down here it gives you a really good idea of what you're looking for. So let's say I'm buying in a company, for example, and you've got all of these tags when I'm going in. So application type, I'm going to go with a purchase. Then it's going estimated value. I'll go with 130,000. And then let's just fill out the rest of these quickly so we've got the idea. Okay, so let's break down an example here. So we're doing a purchase, 130 grand, 750 rent, which is pretty typical, 75% loan to value. So we're going to borrow 97,500, which again, remember, we're putting down a 25% deposit. You can see there's no, it's not a HMO, 25 years, and then I've gone for a discount variable rate. Now, when you're looking at the product type, there's 4 main types: fixed, tracker, variable, and discount variable rate, which is labeled discount here. I am not financially qualified to give advice. I'm not a financial advisor, so please don't take this as advice. It's just what I'm doing right now based on what I'm predicting with the market. And then I put required initial period 2 years, which most discount variable rates are for. Interest only, and I've done a search. Now, the reason I'm looking at this is over a 25-year period, right? So I am going to have this one, 5.7%. Paragon and Aldermore and Foundation Home Loan seem to be the 3 top ones, right? Now, you might think that going for 5.07% is definitely the way to go. And this is how most of us think. But what I want you to do is go over to the right-hand side here, and you see the total cost for the first year is 7,900. Now, these are incorporating all of the fees, which you don't actually pay, by the way. It's incorporated in. So, but if you go down, this one here that's 5.38%, so it's 0.31% more, and yet the total cost is about £600 less. Okay, so you really want to be looking at the long term of all of this and understanding what it's going to go through. Now, this is giving you that overview. You could talk to a broker, of course, as well. But what I love about Lendlord is it's everything in one place. And by the way, if you went over to individual, and let's say we search for the same thing, what you'll tend to notice is very similar rates coming down, but you open up to a lot more. The reason why I think it's good is that you have got more competition, which means you can negotiate more. Now, when you see this at the bottom, you can see the mercantile trust here. Property ICR is less than 125%. Now, what that is that's that rental coverage that I was talking about. So they have really high stress rates at 8.9%, which is crazy high, really. But they're putting that then, so the rental income would need to be higher. So you can search all of these, and then when you click into one of them, usually company is a bit more expensive, but actually nowadays they're pretty similar. You then review the illustration, you click proceed on that, and then you go through a soft application. Just so you understand what a soft application is it doesn't impact your credit rating. So you go through all of this information, which I'm not going to do right now, and then that information will then be submitted and you will get a call. But that's what you do with a broker. But with Lendlord, it's completely free. And as you can see, there's loads more stuff on it. You can pretty much run your entire portfolio. So as I said, if you haven't got access, click the link below now and make sure you're logging in and going through this. The thing to remember with discount variable rates is there's risk of fluctuation. So you get it at a discount to what the rate is up to 2 years. And there's very low early redemption charges, which makes it amazing. That's something else, early redemption charges. Make sure if you're purchasing with a mortgage and you're intending to sell or refinance within 2 years, make sure to see if it's got any early early redemption charges, because if it does, that can be £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, and you're actually better getting one that doesn't have those early redemption charges. Tell them about your intentions of it, and then you'll get some longer term cheaper products with the same mortgage provider. Nice little tip for you there. So when you are looking at a variable, tracker, or discount variable, you need to be willing to take the risk that if the interest rates go up after you buy it, you are going to end up paying more. The downside of going variable is just that. The upside is it's going to be cheaper than a fixed rate most of the time. When you get a fixed rate mortgage, it's literally that. You are fixing it in place. And usually you do 2 years, 3 years, or 5 years. There are some 10-year products, but you're probably not going to use that. Again, not financial advice, but you're probably not going to use that at the moment where interest rates have crept up a little. So you might want to do that. If you're somebody that's just like, I just like the certainty of having it at the same level every single month, I don't want fluctuations. For me personally, I'm not doing that because I'm just not that worried about losing a bit of cash flow, because I can fund it elsewhere and I'm more interested in owning the asset long term. But hey, that's just my opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comments. So hopefully that's been valuable, this video. I've tried to cover all of the different things that I personally think are most important. But if you've got any questions at all that I've not covered, please put it in the comments and I'll either respond directly or I'll produce another video. If there's any questions you want to ask me directly, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. It's @JamieYorkOfficial, and feel free to DM me. I try to reply to every single one of those on a personal level. And if you're new to the channel, you want to find out more about property, then this is definitely the place for you. Make sure you don't go to the next video before hitting the subscribe and notification bell so you can see the next videos come up. And if this has been of any value at all, it really helps me out if you take 2 seconds out your day, click that like button and watch the next video.